This video is for anyone who wants to ask themselves the question, is your partner keeping you as a victim? And I know that's a really hard question to ask yourself, and I'm gonna share with you a story of how I have lived that for decades and didn't know it. So hopefully this will be able to give you some easy steps to identify whether or not you are not being your greatest, most expansive version of yourself, just because the person that you're living with, whether it be your partner or a family member, isn't living their most expansive version of themselves, and because of that is showing up in a way where it's keeping you down. So welcome to the Birth New Earth podcast. I'm your host, Alana Light. Obviously I'm not doing a podcast today. I'm doing something I'm gonna, I think, call Coffee with Alana, which is kind of like a video style diary situation where I am sharing with you things that are happening in real time in my life outside of just interviewing folks. This is my mug. It's got an S on it, which is for my son, Shiloh, who is downstairs. My other son is all the way downstairs. So I've got two kids home today, and I'm making a video regardless, because I can't have a perfect quiet home. There's someone outside right now, working construction. Another person is mowing their lawn, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't make videos until like the entire world has stopped for me, right? Everyone has left my house, and I'm not living where there's neighbors, but that's not true, right? I'm here, and I don't want to at all keep on putting up barriers to being able to share myself. So I hope that you're doing well today, and that this video finds you happy. I had a conversation this morning with my husband where I had shared with him how I woke up really feeling overwhelmed. And I let him know, there's so many different things that I want to create. There's so many different things that I want to do. And sometimes I get overwhelmed by that. All the different ideas that come up, all the different ways of expressing myself that feel like they want to flow out of me. And I'm like, wow, well, if I did them all at once, what would happen? Like, I don't want to take on too much, because I want to be able to do things with intention and give them the proper attention so that I can do them well. So what I'm trying to figure out is, well, what does that mean? What is the order of operations for that? How can I honor balance so that I can have a schedule where I'm happy, where I'm creating, and then from there, different things come. Different things happen. So I got to the point where, I came downstairs, just went outside, meditated alone, figured out that, when I'm making videos, I am feeling a great sense of joy. When I'm interviewing people, I'm feeling a great sense of joy. When I'm writing, I'm feeling a great sense of joy. And those are three things that I can put in a schedule, and those are the three things that I want to be working on. And then, I start to think of, but I could be coaching people, I could be doing retreats, I could be doing events, like there's all these different things that I could be doing. And why aren't I doing those things? And I would let myself go there for a millennia. Like, I think in all my past lives I've been doing that, which is why I'm here to learn this now. And what it would do is it would actually keep me from creating anything, right? Because I would just be like stuck in a pattern of planning and stuck in a pattern of thinking, right? And stuck in a pattern of like, well, here are all the things that I could be doing, and here are all the things that I know I'm good at, and if I would just let myself do them. But you can't do everything all at once. You have to just begin somewhere, right? instead of just being in a loop of being like, all right, I'm way too overwhelmed, so I instead am like gonna go to BJ's and get a massage or something. Like, just, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm still not creating. I'm not even like actually a real person, because all I'm doing is like being a mom and I'm serving other people and no one even appreciates me anyway. So that's a whole other video. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna rein it in. I'm reining it in. What I want to be doing, and what the order of operations is that I want to feel into what my higher self is ready to send down into my body. You know, what can I conduct through the universe that comes through my higher self down into my body and out through my heart space and in my mouth, and what feels best, right? Like what I got to today, this morning on my own in meditation and everything, like we'll call that order of operations, is to get better at speaking, right? Get better at making these kinds of videos, get better at interviewing folks, because I love to do these things, and get better at writing. And I'm working on a couple different kinds of writing, of course, but those would be the 3 buckets. And that when those are the things that become more and more full of ease and effortlessness, and I just allow that to flow through me, like I become an open conductor, that all of the other things, like the events, like the retreats, like the coaching, like all of that will just come. Like all of that will follow. And just to allow myself to begin, you know, kind of like climbing the hill of creation that way. So I told my husband that, because, you know, we do have coffee together every morning. I'm thankful to have a great relationship with him, where we really can talk, and I can be so open and tell him everything, and vice versa. And so I had told him, you know, that's what I figured out. You know, I woke up overwhelmed. I did this meditation. I figured this out, and this is where I'm at. So like, I'm feeling like pretty excited to sit down and make a video first, you know, and then write in the afternoon, and leave it there for today. Like, that's my schedule, you know. So now I don't feel overwhelmed, and I felt, you know, proud of myself and a great sense of peace. And his response back to me was, you need to figure out why you feel overwhelmed. And I was like, what? It's like a record scratch. All of a sudden, like, everything stops, and you're like, what? I was like, why are you saying that? Like, I just don't quite understand, because I literally, like, just told you I woke up feeling overwhelmed. You know, I've figured my stuff out. You know, now I'm like on the other side of it. Like, I know like what I'm doing next. I know what my order of operations is. And like, we've talked about extensively where the overwhelm comes from. Like, I could make a whole other video about that. And I know like he knows that, you know, the overwhelm comes from thinking that like I have to hurry up and create all these different things, and I'm not enough, and it comes from, I made a whole other video on this last week, which I'll put a link below, where I was basically creating out of survival. I was creating to prove myself that I was actually worthy of abundance, and that comes from a childhood pattern of tying my abundance to being broken. So I was always trying to create from a state of brokenness. So I can go into like a whole other reason why that happened. I'm just gonna tell you to watch that video. So I understand that, right? So we've talked about that, and now I know that the place that I get to learn to create from is from a place of wholeness, right? Which is really new for me. So which is why when I wake up feeling overwhelmed, I'm like, oh, that's back, you know, and I have the tools, I have the awareness, I did the meditation, you know, I got myself to the place of feeling like I have direction and not feeling overwhelmed and ready to create today. So when he said that, I was like really pissed off. I was like, why are you saying that? Like, I can't even handle that you just said that. Like, it's infuriating to me. Like, did you not hear? Like, did you not hear all the things that I just told you, and that I'm really just like at this place of being ready to create now. And it's important for us all to take a step back here and to recognize why he said that and where that's coming from. So when I first met him, I felt like I needed to be saved. Came from a really difficult, traumatic childhood situation. Like I always say, like the first 17 years of my life were extremely challenging, and after that, the rest was literally a vacation, which is not true. The rest is not a vacation. The rest was an escape that I clawed onto and named it a vacation, when in actuality, all I was doing was hiding, right? Because that's what I was completely used to, and really just hiding behind him, right? Like he was my savior, like, you're the one who's normal, in comparison to what I grew up with. I'm gonna latch onto you, because now we're gonna create a whole life that looks totally different from my childhood, and because of that, I'm gonna feel safe, right? And so what that means is you have to save me all the time, right? And what that means is that I'm the broken one. And what that means is, like, again, like when I try to go create, or I try to have a career, or I try to do something, I'm doing it from a place of brokenness. So I never really can feel worthy of any abundance, like getting it myself, right? I really can't ever feel worthy of stepping into creation from joy, because it's only ever just an old school, like, survival mechanism that I'm living out. And so his pattern was always being the savior. And what I'm learning now, pretty obviously, is that I don't need to be saved, right? So now this kind of like goes, it like flies in the face of like who he is, right? Like what his role has always been, because it's like, wait, do you not have to be saved? Because I'm used to saving you, and who am I to you if I don't save you? And even though you just told me that great story, I feel like I still need to say something around saving you. And I used to go to him, constantly for years to be the one who I would tell him some kind of a story, and I hadn't figured it out about myself, and I would need him to really help me, and I would need him to really save me. And obviously that doesn't work, because you can only save yourself. Like, that's the pattern is of staying in victim mode. So when he said that to me, I really took it personally. I was like, this mofo like does not hear me, and he still thinks that I need to be saved. And I'm like taking that in with a great sense of anger, like really upset with him that he has said that to me, because he's, quote, keeping me as a victim. And so we have been fighting a lot recently because I think a lot of this stuff is coming up now, like these patterns that we've been living for like decades, like these agreements that we made when we married each other, that we didn't really realize that we would like be living out these crazy patterns forever, until you start to grow and you realize that those patterns are not needed anymore. Like, they're not like something that you identify with. They're not attached to you, because you feel a different energy now. You feel like you're a different person now, which is what I was trying to explain to him, and I felt like he didn't hear me, right? And that he instead, needed to point out how I'm still broken, right? And I'm like, that you have said that to me makes me feel like I'm laying in a hospital bed and the covers are over my head and you're like stapling the sheets down. Like I feel stuckness, which is what I've felt for a really long time. Like I allowed myself to feel that level of stuckness, and of course, all I want to do is like rip those hospital sheets off and choke him with them. And so like in recent months that we've been fighting often, because this stuff is coming up now, I have tried to really hurt him back. And I realize that doesn't help. All that is anger, that is flying out of me, that I want him to feel the pain that he just gave me. So I went recently to an ashram, which is a yoga place where you've got swamis living there and teaching yoga. And the talk that started it all off when I first got there, the swami was saying there's no point in ever arguing, just because you can never win. Like, even when you think you've won, you've not won. And I was like, are you like talking directly to me? I felt like that was landing just right on me. And it's funny because then she did a talk about how, when you get really good at being a swami and giving talks, the people think that like literally the talk's just for them. I was like, guilty. And so I needed to go there because I kept on having so much anger towards him that like I needed him to feel, when in actuality, the thing to do when you start arguing with your partner or your family members is to just separate. Which is what I'm really glad that we both did this morning, because he just went to the gym and I went on a run. Because in being able to stay at that ashram and being alone, I was able to remember that when you're feeling a feeling, any feeling at all, it's coming from inside of you, right? Like, no one on the outside can make you feel anything. You have to agree to feel that way. And so when someone on the outside makes you feel something, just checking to make sure my microphone is on, because I could see myself doing the whole thing and the whole thing is like not actually ever recorded. That would happen. So when you actually feel something and you think another person has caused you to feel it, all that person really is holding up a mirror to what is still living inside of you. And that's why no one can ever win when they fight. And the best thing that you can ever do is separate during that time and go run or go meditate, because you need to look in the mirror. You need to actually give yourself a minute to look in the mirror. And this morning's mirror was about, why does it upset me so much that he said that? Because he was really just trying to help, and I'm changing, he's changing, the old patterns don't work anymore. And he didn't say that because he's trying to keep me broken, which is how I took it. And then I blamed him for my brokenness for all those decades. It's really convenient, right, to just put it on another person. He said that because his worth is tied to, still obviously, to saving me, because he thinks that is helping me, and that's his version of love to me, which makes me feel a great sense of compassion for him, because I know that that's him doing his best. And when I take that in as being like, oh, you're trying to like keep me down, you're trying to staple me into a hospital bed, the mirror, right, it's like so bright and gleaming and shining in my face, is showing me that I still just believe that about myself, right? That there's a part of me that still believes that I'm broken. Must be for me to get that angry, right? And to feel broken, right? To actually feel suffocated, to actually feel that I'm a victim, right? Must be a part of me that still actually feels that way. And that's okay. And that's the point. What is that actually shining a light on inside of me? I'm gonna shut the window because there's massive landscaping going on right now as I'm trying to wrap up this video. Okay, I'm back. I have shut the windows. Told me to be like, damn it! Those mofos, now I can't feel the air. And I can't create if I can't feel the flow. That's not true. But I literally would go there. So the realization is that for me to be able to get that angry is that belief that somewhere inside of me that I am overwhelmed. For me to want to hurt him as badly as he, quote, made me feel. It's the fact that I could still feel that way is where the learning comes in. Because as I know my truth, that I'm not broken, that I am whole, that I'm worthy of creating from joy, that I'm rooted and grounded in that when I sit there and I sit in the energy of that, and that is what is flowing through me from my core, through my higher self, nothing can keep me from feeling that all of the time. I would never sacrifice that feeling for wanting someone else to feel badly. And that's why no one can ever win in an argument. And that's why when he would say to me, oh, you need to figure out why you feel overwhelmed, that I can just look at him as someone who's still just living out a pattern that's old, that doesn't serve either one of us anymore. But that's his mirror to learn through, to face in front of him. And I can't show him that mirror with anger, with my own feeling of brokenness. He's got to see it on his own. And the only way for him to be able to look in that mirror on his own is by me staying rooted in my great sense of self and my ability to create from joy and wholeness and to respond with that same exact energy. And simply say, and this is what came to me when I was running, I was like, this is what I could have said, why it's good that we separated. And I could look in that mirror, because if I really am someone who's not broken, and I'm really someone who's rooted in my wholeness and rooted in love and joy and creation, I can create through me a dialogue that serves us both, which is, wow, thank you. That's really good advice. And have the knowingness that it's not even the words that I say back that holds the mirror up in front of him. It's only the energy of my love. It's only the energy of what then becomes our love, flowing right back to him as gratitude for knowing that this is him right now, doing his best. That's his version of loving me. And that there's nothing that I need to say and do to defend myself, because I'm already whole. So we were really proud of ourselves for getting better at, I know I'm not supposed to say fighting, arguing, but I want to say fighting. Because this kind of argument could have lasted for a day or so. And we never really used to argue at all, but there are things that we all are facing and learning to navigate. And we can shift into the learning of it a lot quicker when we are allowing ourselves to have that time to express the anger on your own, maybe through running, maybe through breathing exercises or punching a pillow, but just really letting it out. And then allowing yourself to ask yourself, what am I meant to learn from this? Please, universe, show me. Please, my higher self, show me. And undoubtedly, you'll get an answer even before you could finish asking. So I'll invite you to begin to be the watcher of these patterns. Not so much the person that's personalizing everything that's happening as I have done for decades. And I'll invite you to start to notice and please share in the comments below what comes up from that. Where can you make a shift on your own that allows your partner to then shift themselves? Because I can tell you that if I would have stayed in that energy and just radiated back love and compassion and understanding, I wouldn't even have to say anything because he already would feel my power, my wholeness, my truth. He would already realize that there's a knowingness within him that he doesn't need to be a savior because I'm sitting in this energy now. And that's where we're moving towards as a collective, to be able to work through our power and that vibration that comes up out of us and emanates through our heart center, which is actually measurable, has the power to shift not only yourself, but your family, the people in your office and your schools, everyone around you. And when enough of us start to live this way, we can all start to really shift the world and live our truth. So I'll invite you to start to notice where you can start to make those shifts within your house, within your home, within yourself, and to try on being able to see what you can learn from these interactions and how it changes things for those that are around you. So thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed Coffee with Alana. And I did it. I made a video regardless of all the distractions and who's coming upstairs and standing by the door. I'm wishing you a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll speak with you all soon.